In the bustling city of Viridian, there lived a young woman named Seraphina, whose beauty was the talk of the town. Her raven-black hair cascaded like a waterfall down her back. Her emerald-green eyes sparkled like precious gems, and her porcelain skin seemed to glow with an otherworldly radiance. Seraphina knew she was beautiful, and she made sure everyone else knew it too. She walked with an air of superiority, her chin held high, and her gaze often dismissive. She believed her beauty entitled her to admiration, privilege, and respect, and she rarely missed an opportunity to remind others of her perceived superiority. Seraphina's arrogance knew no bounds. She scoffed at those she deemed beneath her, mocked the plain and ordinary, and reveled in the attention she received from admirers. She spent hours in front of the mirror, perfecting her appearance, and her wardrobe was filled with the finest dresses money could buy. She attended every social event, basking in the envy and admiration of others. But beneath her flawless exterior, Seraphina was lonely. Her beauty had become a barrier, isolating her from genuine connections. People either idolized her or resented her, and she had no true friends. One day, as Seraphina strolled through the city's grand marketplace, she noticed a commotion near the fountain. A crowd had gathered, and curious, she made her way over. In the center of the crowd stood a young woman named Ilara, a traveling artist who had set up her easel and was painting a portrait of the city. Ilara was plain in appearance, with simple clothes and unremarkable features, but her talent was undeniable. The crowd marveled at her work, praising her skill and creativity. Seraphina, however, felt a pang of jealousy. How could this ordinary girl command such admiration? Unable to contain herself, Seraphina stepped forward and addressed Ilara in a haughty tone. "Your work is adequate," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "But surely you know that true beauty lies in perfection, not in these crude strokes of paint." Ilara looked up, her expression calm and unbothered. "Beauty is subjective," she replied. "What one person sees as perfection, another may see as cold and lifeless. True beauty lies in the soul, not in appearances." Seraphina laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. "Spare me your philosophical nonsense. Beauty is power, and I have it in abundance. You, on the other hand, have nothing." Ilara smiled faintly and returned to her painting, refusing to engage further. The crowd, however, began to murmur, their admiration for Seraphina waning as they witnessed her cruelty. Seraphina, oblivious to their disapproval, turned on her heel and walked away. Her pride intact but her reputation beginning to crack. The transformation. As the days turned into weeks, Seraphina began to notice a change in the way people treated her. The once adoring crowds now avoided her, and the invitations to social events grew fewer and farther between. Her beauty, which had always been her greatest asset, now seemed to work against her. People whispered behind her back, calling her vain and heartless. Seraphina tried to brush it off, telling herself that their opinions didn't matter, but deep down, she felt a growing sense of emptiness. One evening, as she wandered the city streets alone, she found herself drawn to a small, dimly lit shop tucked away in a quiet corner. The sign above the door read, "Ilara's Studio." Curiosity got the better of her, and she stepped inside. The shop was filled with paintings, each one more breathtaking than the last. Seraphina's eyes widened as she took in the vibrant colors and intricate details. She had never seen art like this before. Ilara emerged from the back room, her hands stained with paint. "Welcome," she said, her tone warm and genuine. "What brings you here?" Serafina hesitated, unsure of how to respond. For the first time in her life she felt out of place. "I wanted to see your work," she said quietly. Ilara nodded and gestured to the paintings. "Feel free to look around. Art has a way of speaking to the soul if you let it." As Serafina wandered through the studio, she found herself drawn to a particular painting. It depicted a woman standing alone in a field of flowers, her face turned toward the sun. The woman's expression was one of quiet strength and resilience, and something about it resonated deeply with Serafina. She felt a lump form in her throat as she realized how much she had in common with the woman in the painting. Like her, the woman was beautiful, but there was a loneliness in her eyes that mirrored Serafina's own. "Do you like it?" Ilara asked, appearing at her side. Serafina nodded, unable to speak. "That painting is called The Arrogant Beauty," Ilara said. "It's about a woman who had everything but nothing at the same time. She was so consumed by her own beauty that she forgot what truly mattered." Tears welled up in Serafina's eyes as the weight of Ilara's words sank in. For the first time she saw herself as others saw her, not as a goddess to be worshipped, but as a flawed and lonely human being. She turned to Ilara, her voice trembling. "How do I change?" Ilara smiled gently. "It starts with humility. True beauty comes from within, from kindness, compassion, and a willingness to see the beauty in others." From that day forward, Serafina began to change. She stopped seeking validation from others and instead focused on becoming a better person. She volunteered at the local orphanage, helped the elderly, and treated everyone she met with kindness and respect. Slowly but surely, people began to see her in a new light. Her beauty, once a source of arrogance, became a reflection of her inner transformation. In the end, Serafina learned that true beauty is not about appearances but about the content of one's character. And though her journey was not easy, it was worth it, for she had finally found the one thing she had been missing all along: genuine connection.